think there are a couple of challenges, or a few challenges the industry are dealing with at the moment. Probably 4, if I was to categorise that, or 4 that I can see. One is around social performance, or what we also used to term social licence. And that's about the ability or getting the community okay and others, stakeholders, to build those projects. The other, I think, is around skills, the inventory of skills. There's quite a shortage of capacity of appropriately skilled people in Australia, and I can talk a little bit more to that. The other is around capital prioritisation. What we've seen with the innovation in the sector and what is needed in the sector is that there's a lot more projects that's turned up on the project's to-do list. And so that means putting the capital, the scarce capital, in the right place. And the other thing, I think, when we've got innovation and entrepreneurship and other things happening in a sector like this at the moment, there are ideas that work or not work, things that are untested, and that can be a different time and a different era for companies or organisations, particularly in mining, to go through as they're testing new ideas as well. So WSP is approaching the challenges on a number of fronts. We recently just acquired the Calibre business, which is really to add to our capacity around delivery. So when we're looking at these bigger, larger projects that are forming, and where clients want surety of delivery, better mechanisms of delivery, it's really about securing that resource base. But I do understand and appreciate that's not necessarily adding to. So we are looking at overseas centres of excellence as well, particularly in other areas such as India, where we know there's some really good universities offering really great skills and courses directly related to the areas that we're dealing with. So our clients are testing us from that perspective as well, in terms of, you know, capacity in Australia, but what other capacity do you have for projects of this scale and of this nature? The other aspect we've had a piece running through our organisation, a strategic piece called Future Ready. So we really take a future lens to all the work that we do, making sure that we are at the front end of solutions to clients, where we test up where we've seen ideas overseas, elsewhere, and applying that to solutions here locally or elsewhere. So that's really important from that perspective for us. A key area of investment for us at the moment is ensuring that our designs by 2030 are 50% less carbon intensive. So we at the moment are baselining a lot of the projects across our business. So when we're offering those solutions to clients, we're also looking at making sure that the new designs or alternative designs are less carbon intensive. So that's an important part of the investment we're putting behind it. We're also putting investment around technical excellence. I spoke a little bit before, I think, about innovation, entrepreneurship, key in the segment right now as we're looking at these new solutions. So we are revamping our technical excellence programs. Now, those may be internally accredited and awarded programs, but we think it's very important to reward our people. We really want to become what we are now terming the undisputed people leader in the staff that we've got. So technical excellence programs are key. I think for industry on this issue, a thing that I've seen is that a lot of industry pieces, whether it be around energy, whether it be around mining, whether it be around the property and building sector and others, they tend to have events more within their own, or talking to their own community, to their own markets. As we move through a pace of innovation and change, and where energy transition or what is needed in mining for that energy transition, it's a little bit more complicated, more nuanced, and requires every part to work together. What I would challenge industry with is how are our different industry partners extending or collaborating against other industries. It's really interesting when I go to other industry events, whether it be from the property sector or from the transport sector perhaps, and they use a lot of energy, or they use product that mining provides, that they're not always or understanding or as to why things are the way they are, what the bottlenecks may be, why there's supply chain issues, or why they can't transition faster, until they get a little bit of an eye into what challenges that industry is dealing with. And likewise, I think for the mining industry and for others to understand where their reputation stands, how people are looking at them, what they may need to change or improve upon, because the the importance of that sector is vital. So I think if we go down a path where we are expecting more collaboration, we're expecting innovative ideas, industry should look at ways of getting other industry partners together and sharing some of the experiences and challenges a little bit more. I think for governments, it's important to incentivize those that are moving down that path, particularly that is facilitating what you want from a newer or a refreshed mining industry, or from transition to a lower carbon based business. Incentives probably work better than restrictions or regulatory or something of that nature, just to point or to guide folks where you would like to go. I think also for government and for all parties, I would put this on the private sector as well, is look at a way of, particularly when you're dealing with innovation and again change in sectors, I think the way that in partners speak to each other, whether it's the likes of myself in a consulting arrangement, whether it's construction partners, operational manufacturers, or whatever that may be, is to look at more partnering or collaborative types arrangements. Transactional arrangements, and I'm probably pointing a little bit here at procurement, works well when you know what outcome you're looking for. When you don't know what that outcome quite is, or it's going to be a bit of a test, how far electrification can take you, for example, you may look at more partnership arrangements. So I think for governments as well, if they can look at things like that, of how they encourage private and other parties to do that, when you're going down a path of innovation, partnership type arrangements tend to work better. I think in general, the skills we have in Australia are second to none, superb. We've always looked at potential issues, and we can either solve it internally and in Australia. Sometimes that requires us to go globally, overseas, whatever that may be. But I think when it comes to capacity, that's where we fall short. We're well aware of recently the United States rolling out with their Inflation Reduction Act, other countries doing similar to facilitate investment around this transition, to facilitate investment around new resources perhaps in markets. So we are not alone. We are a global player and we are competing for global resources. So I think it's important to stress one thing I've seen at the moment, certainly seen the shortage, certainly around energy. We are seeing a tightening around mining as well, that there will be an uptick for the skills. And we're not exactly seeing those numbers come through from STEM and through universities as well. So we are seeing a bit of a crunch perhaps coming. But I think if we're looking at ways we can influence that, it's probably at the very early stages of uni, of people looking at the appropriate courses, I suppose, around STEM. But we are going to have to do a little bit more around skill capacity. Important for mining to be investing in those critical minerals, because they're really powering, for lack of a better term, that energy transition. A lot of that stuff we need with support of the mining industry, and the mining industry supports some of that transition. I think there's lots of studies being done, whether it be at COP or others that have been recently presented, that said the amount of work we got is quite significant, especially if we want to get to that 1.5 degrees, or reduction thereof. So I think it's really important that we rely on the various sectors that need to help and assist to get us to where we need to be. We know that the market is transitioning from the coal sector. We know that they're looking at other commodities, and it's important for mining to play its part in that. And I think that, as I said before, probably that bar has gotten a little bit higher for social license or social performance as well, so we've got to play it well. Thinking all the way from the commencement of projects right through to the end, and what that asset would be used for, but very important part that mining will play in this transition. So a vision from my perspective with my team is really to work on the projects that matter. Projects that take us or transition not only the Australian economy, but I think as a global partner in that as well. We have the skills, we are developing the skills in new sectors. We are right at the forefront of that right now. So not only can our skills be harnessed here locally, it can be harnessed globally as well. So really challenging our people by working on and winning some of the best and most significant projects, particularly in pushing that next stage of what I'd call new mining and energy transition. Projects that matter is key to us. I think one other thing that I'd just like to add to that vision is to be the undisputed people leader. Really keen on the technical brilliance and what we can foster in our people, we can grow in our people and take that to our clients.